Welcome back to SpeakPact. I'm so glad that you're here. And I'm totally thrilled to bring on my next guest. She is a master in her field. She is a veteran oncologist who has stepped out of the norm to help other doctors and practitioners get their voices heard on a higher level. So, Dr. Schaefer, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Antoniette, to have me on your show. I'm super excited.
Well, I'm just really, I reached out to you. First of all, you and I met at a media conference, and that was so beautiful. We just had a immediate connection, and I'm just honored to have had that little bit of time with you. And so ever since, I've been your fan and just kind of watching your work. And I really am so appreciative because it's in alignment with my original vision, and that is to help everybody know what their options are when it comes to their health and well-being and even just their life performance. And you seem to culminate that in not only getting your own voice out there, but helping other high achieving doctors get their voices out there. So tell me a little bit about what dawned on you one day as you're doing your work and saving lives, right, in the medical field, to wanting to help other doctors get their voices out there. First of all, getting your own out there and then helping doctors get their voices out there.
Thank you, Antoniette. And actually, the important part is what you do. And having and creating this platform, that's actually how you are serving a liaison and main leader on creating these communities. So, one, I discovered for myself, being in medicine for almost 30 years, practicing, seeing thousands and thousands of physicians and doing training on multiple medical trainees and also young doctors. I discovered myself that there is so much more than being a physician, being an oncologist, seeing patients, interpreting tests, making diagnosis, writing prescription, doing publication, and so on and on and on. So then I discover that what would be the next step? And at one point, I thought that this could be more into this. And I felt during one period of time that it's everything kind of confined it to one patient room, one institution, one organization, law, by law, promotion and tenure. And being so many years in medicine, I realized that we could create more and we could reach a bigger audience. So then I started sharing my story. I'm an advanced open water diver. I also dance Argentine tango.
Woo!
I do like did horseback riding. So I'm an avid hiker and I love outdoor nature, love reading books. And there is so much to share, but a lot of those passions get hidden. So it's anyone, any occupation, not only physicians, not only healthcare professionals, practitioners, but look at any occupation, any industry. They all would like to perform well at work, but also, what about that passion? What about that hidden little thing that wakes us up in the morning that makes our life fulfilled? And yes, maybe you in the audience listening to me and you are thinking, well, but I have a lot of responsibilities and I have my bills to pay and my children take to school. And if I just wait until they graduate, or if I just wait when this season pass, if I just wait this, and what we create, underneath, we create this myth to ourselves. So what I did, I actually stopped, eliminated this myth, and start uncovering that passion. And once I start sharing the story, my passion, and aligned with expertise, actually more people reached out, and that's how I developed proprietary brand, develop a trademark, organic bravery, and now I'm helping other physicians and healthcare practitioners to actually align their passion and expertise, so then they not only enhance career but also create passive income and have fulfilled life.
Wow. You are a powerhouse, and I am absolutely love the work that you're doing. And more than the actual work that you're doing, the passion behind the work that you're doing, right? Because there's that makes it all more authentic and more powerful. And obviously, you've gotten some attention. You've been on TEDx, Forbes. You've been featured by Forbes. You've been on Bloomberg. You've been on Fox News, NBC, ABC. There's just obviously there's some grit behind what you're doing. How did you go from oncologist, right, a practicing doctor, to your very first stage? Like how did that bridge happen? And now you travel the world. So obviously you're in demand. So how did you go from idea to where you are now?
I think each of us have a very unique way how we start doing things, and I believe that what I would like to enhance, stimulate, and engage the audience. Not only think like based on my example and duplicate, but create that new example for yourself, so then everyone who is listening will be able to create that spark. So for me personally, during period of COVID, I felt that I was just seeing a lot of patients, and we all were very much confined to one institution and one area. In the meanwhile, while the whole world started sharing a lot of things on media and everything through the internet, we were seeing patients day after day. So it was not a lot of time actually to go and socialize through the internet and create those connections. So during this period of time, there were certain events happening, such as Ruth Ginsburg passed away, and then Black Panther passed away. So I got invited, I spoke on Fox News, and then after that, I also share my story in Authority magazine. And after I share, actually, a lot of people start reaching out to me, and one after another, the way I started sharing story, that's how the audience connected. So what I did, I actually incorporated what I've learned for the 20 years of experience in medicine, and organized that in a specific framework. That's how I developed that framework. It's called organic bravery. Through that organic bravery, I started sharing my story. I define exactly what would be interested to the audience, start asking questions, and then one after another, it basically got invited to hundreds of platforms. And mainly, I actually share my passion and expertise. For example, when I spoke about burnout in oncology, I would bring other my hobbies, or when I spoke about certain topic in oncology as an expert, I also share a specific example that little bit outside. So that kind of led me into additional skills, additional improvement, development, organic bravery, and then Antoniette, after that it became snowball as physicians start reach out, start helping other physicians. We created book Artificial Intelligence in Medicine that became bestseller, and those physicians start actually enhancing career, finding new avenues. And as I saw that from one little sharing, from one little story, we actually expanded not only to other physicians, but also to other platforms. And that's why I'm very grateful right now to be here with you and sharing this message.
Okay, gosh, there was so much in that. And I would want to rewind a little bit because there's a few things that I would like to touch base. But first of all, we are spirit sisters. All the things you listed. I love hiking. I love reading. I love dancing. I haven't tried Argentina dancing, but that sounds like a lot of fun. So we're definitely sisters on a lot of levels, and really on the most important levels, and that is getting voices heard, right? Relevant, impactful voices heard. And that comes from building a cohesive brand, which is an expertise of yours. You went from, I mean, you're a brilliant woman, and you went from healing bodies to healing also brands, which is a big deal if you're going to make a true impact. So let's dial it back to when you had this notion. There's COVID, right? And you had this notion of wanting to get your voice out there. How did you go from the want to Fox News calling you up? Did they just randomly pick you out, or did you start making it known that you're available to speak?
Well, one starts from expertise. So, because my expertise in gastrointestinal oncology, that I got invited. So, I would say for the whole audience, it's mostly yes, you have to be available, but also put forward your skills and not only your expertise. Yes, in my situation, being associate professor and director of GI oncology, it's a one thing, but also every single person has something very specific. Someone might create music, someone might be more into birds, someone more into reading, someone into writing. So I would say every single person find that specific area and they step forward. How they step forward is basically become visible. So of course, in a situation where I'm already there among experts, then of course media looking for that. But I would say every person, if they have that specific niche in a specific message that they could polish and incorporate, do research, do real research, and it's either for example, if it's a medical field, through PubMed, put a little data. So put something that people recognize you, because yes, it's easy when you're already expert, but expert doesn't come. It took 30 years. So normally as a physicians, we have to study about 12 to 16 years before we even see patients and get to that point. So I'm not saying that everybody out there would spend 12 to 16 years to become expert, but how they share a story, that's why I developed concept and that framework, organic bravery. So then we are helping those who doesn't know where to start.
Okay. All right. So let's unwrap some of this. This is so much goodness here. So number one, story. Story equals connection. So you want to connect, right? Pretty much the through line through everything that you said went back to connection. Specialty is your brand. So get known as the leading expert in your space, which you're a brilliant woman, and you became very well known for your gastrointestinal work, right? And so it was easy for somebody looking for an expert in that topic to single you out and invite you to that engagement, that opportunity, which opened up all kinds of other opportunities. So that goes back to the brand having a super clear, dynamic brand that puts you in the space of being the expert in that space. Love that. And then the last thing that you said was become visible. And you were brilliant in the way that you said that. And it's not just touting, right? It's not just shouting from the mountains what you do, but it's really going to those places where your right fit people kind of gather like grapes, right? Where they are, you go and put yourself in those places. If you are a doctor wanting to get known as the expert in a certain modality, you go to PubMed and you write some articles and you contribute. So often I come across would be thought leaders or speakers, and sometimes even authors who just kind of have their feet in the ground. They just kind of are resistant to wanting to give away any of their information, quote unquote, for free. You cannot outgive the public. The more you give, the more opportunities are going to open up for you. Dr. Schaefer can never be duplicated. The what you bring to the somebody may speak on a similar or the same topic, but they're not going to deliver it the way that you deliver it, and with the background and the stories and the connections that you make. So you're irreplaceable. You could give all of your information away, and it's still only going to elevate your career. And that's just something I have to drive home to speakers over and over again. They just want to hold things tight to their chest, thinking that they're protecting themselves when actually they're hurting themselves. So you laid all that out in such a perfect way. That's how you established your brilliance, your specialty, right? So you were invited as an expert in that space for a very large platform. And then from there, it just started snowballing. So what what was the instance, the time where, okay, you were invited, you got that show, it would you got that interview, it opened up some doors. And then what made you think, I'm going to make a thing of this? I'm not going to just go back to business as usual. I'm going to actually expand this not only for myself, but for other practitioners. When did that happen?
Um, so, Antoniette, it's interesting that I was just thinking, right now, you are so kind, and thank you so much for all wonderful words you told about me and elevated. But I want to step back and kind of share that a lot of this, it comes with, we sacrifice our meals, we sacrifice sleep, we sacrifice children. Our children grow up as army brats because we had to be a lot on call, post call. So it's a lot to get to that area. It looks today things glamorous and elevated and easy, but overall it took a very, very harsh path, day after day, late nights, early mornings, no weekends, no holidays, and all of this compile in consideration. So when we reach to that stage, and I want for everyone also to think that everyone has a specific path. Where we are today, it's one situation, but also if you don't have that specific credentials, you can actually create something starting from today. And that brings to the question that you ask, okay, how do you even make this? Why, when it becomes something? And interesting part that once we start communicating and sharing this information exactly how you mention for free, then that's how people start reaching out. And once start reaching out, of course, being a physician, we can only have certain period of time. And then we learn that unless people pay, they don't pay attention. So having that specific area, people just reach out and wanted to work. The other physicians also wanted to be visible. They wanted to grow brand. They knew they have a lot of years of education, a lot of nights sacrifice, and still not being able to have that passion, to have that fulfillment, still holding back. And that's how I started little by little. So we initially created books with a few clients, and they wrote books. They realized they can be writers that they never knew. So then another person, they wanted to speak at a larger stage. We start working that person on another more stages. Then somebody else wanted to create more consulting business. Then we start working, created consulting business. So as all of this started elevated, that's how it brought to a higher level, and then subsequently created in a larger groups. And of course now that's my whole reason why I am doing this, because would love to be in front of the larger audience, so then those people benefit and find themselves and awaken their organic bravery that would help them to have that fulfillment.
New level, new you, right? You don't ever arrive. Let's hope, because then turn the lights off, right? But you get to that new summit and you get to see all the next frontiers that you can tackle. And I love that spirit in you, that you really are, each new milestone, you're really looking at what's the next thing that I can do. And you're absolutely right. Those who are out there just waiting for that one big break, it's generally not going to happen, right? You were contacted by Fox. That was amazing, but you could have hung all of your aspirations on that and really not made the pretty incredible career that you've made. Instead, you got proactive. You created this framework for others. You started really getting yourself even more visible. And I know it had to take sacrifice, because as a doctor, your time is already compressed, right? It's already intense amount of pressure on your time. And for you to take that step to create this whole other side of what you offer had to have taken a good bit of a sacrifice. I'm really glad that you brought that into this conversation, because I see it. I see it every single day. Yeah, I'm an agent, I'm a speaker agent, and I can smell it from a mile away. The person who approaches me, who is ready to go, they have a vision, they're ready to roll up their sleeves with me and let's hit the ground running, right? I am all for that person, versus the person who wants an agent so that they can sit back on their couch and I just basically go do the work for them and call them up and say, show up on this stage on this date. I'm not interested in working with somebody like that, because it's really similarly to what you say. People pay attention to what they pay for, right? Well, we pay for things, yes, monetarily, but we also pay with our energy, our ROE. Um, and that energy factor is really important. What is important to us to make the hard sacrifices? That's hard sacrifices. People don't become international thought leaders, highly recognized influencers by happenstance. They work hard for that, and it has to come from passion. It can't just come from a desire for a paycheck. Obviously, to do good financially means that you have some freedoms and opportunities to do more good. That's got to be part of the element. But what has to carry it all is that drive, that desire behind it all, that keeps it pushing in the hard times when you're tired and your family's upset with you because you have to miss the family barbecue, whatever it might be. We make very conscious choices. So, are you still practicing full time and, I guess, growing up others in this space at the same time, or have you shifted your time allotment so that you, because I want to see you around for a long time and not burned out. So how are you managing all of that?
Yes, Antoniette, I did cut back on the clinical practice. So I actually achieved my kind of ultimate goal, was able to downgrade and leave clinical practice. And I was just able to do that and transform into new industry as well as more speaking. Actually, my goal was 5 years and I got in 2 years. So I want to tell everyone that it's really possible. And yes, so dramatic shift, absolutely. And I would say it also comes a lot with developing that organic bravery. And I know there may be something, okay, what's this difference between bravery and organic bravery? Um, so is it okay if I share?
Absolutely. Yes.
One, that how we making our choices, and first we establish our vision. And a lot of times we don't know our vision. So right now, the reason I am able to do all of it, because actually I did dramatic shift. I had the goal, then I did the shift. And every time when we have a goal, why people think that, there's some manifesting, and, I'm a scientist, I am a physician, it's very difficult to believe in a lot of things, but we make our decisions. There is a special connection in the brain. There is a certain neuronal pathway. There is a certain epigenetic that we can develop in ourselves, how we actually make those decisions. So the Gleb Shomatsky discovered the gene in amygdala, it called stathmin, that actually kind of control certain level of our emotions. And I believe it could be part of organic bravery. So, as the scientific world developing, in the meanwhile, we are making decisions certain way. So, bravery is actually quality or state of having courage. It's kind of ability, let's say, face of danger or fear, and also involve taking risks. And organic bravery is a dynamic framework that actually awaken your personal, emotional, and professional actions in a field of decision in business and personal life. So that's how I basically navigate, and I'll be happy to share that framework with the audience.
Oh my goodness, please. Yes. They would love that. And I would love it.
One is, we always distinguish and start from, for example, definition. Bravery. It's a quality of having that courage and confront challenges despite obstacles or personal fears. An organic bravery, it actually collection of action of personal, emotional, and professional changes. For example, if in regular bravery we associate anything that we do with a heroism or maybe unexpected or unplanned situation. And in organic bravery, we take that small steps in we determine interval of time, and we determine a specific intention or goal, whichever the person resonates better. So during this period of time, we actually include our personal relationship. We write down list of our professional endeavors. We also write down list of our passion. We write down list of activities that we do, and then we decide which one we can overcome with obstacle or not. So making that specific short list and specific buckets. Classification, so it all comes to classification. So as we develop, then we work normally with the clients through a specific framework, through stories, and pulling that proprietary terminology, creating personal proprietary terminology in a way that the other people did not use. So that's how I was able to navigate, create that organic bravery, so then it can help not only in my situation, but most important, other people, not only in a way in oncology, but actually in personal professional life.
Okay, this is brilliant. So, my audience are high achievers, right? And obviously, a doctor is a high achiever. So, I think in that sense, your framework would work for my audience beautifully. And I know when you're speaking with doctors, you're essentially, well, I'll read it right off of your website. Discover innovative ways. You say how doctors, I'm going to say how high achievers like you combine their passion and credentials to create lifelong passive income. So, utilizing your framework, what are some of the keys to take your curated knowledge, right? Because obviously you're got to be devoted and dedicated for usually decades to get to that level of achievement. How do you take all of that and somehow be able to step away from the initially intended reason why you got did that field of study, right? Got all of that knowledge and experience to create maybe a secondary or an alternative lifelong passive stream of income. You kind of guide us in that a bit?
Uh, Now, every path would be a little bit different. And I know it's a lot of experts out there, and they say, okay, if you want to invest into real estate, you do this. If you want to become professional speaker, you do this. If you want to, let's say write book, you do this. But a lot of this, it actually on personal level. So what I can tell for the audience, what we can do, number one, is understand your uncertainty.
Mm.
So, first, calculate and understand and see, are you comfortable with this situation or that situation? That's why we created, specific assessment, and we are trying to understand, because I've had some clients come and they would say, I want to be a speaker, and quickly they realize they just don't want to be really, in person or travel and take time away from the family and need a little bit more passive. There is someone decided, okay, I want to be a coach. And then they realize, no, that's not something that I can do. So one is to realize for yourself what would be that appropriate. A lot of times how we create that passive income that people say, for example, real estate, it's the way, we could aim. Now, how you could achieve, you could actually first, for example, become a speaker, you create certain revenue, or then you create online courses that people would buy. And then eventually that revenue, let's say, translate into real estate. Or someone is more, comfortable, grow, speaking career. Maybe they not so comfortable and they wrote chapter in the book, then they wrote book, and then they took all this information and they went. So then it would be a completely different way how people look at you when you're on a stage if you're already author. So embrace that way. What, your certainty, what's your uncertainty, what you can do. And a lot of times we don't even know what we can do. Initially I thought that I'll be okay with television. Well, Antoniette, quickly I realized that that require certain level of setting, certain time, certain look, certain availability. So then I created in a different way, like coaching and speaking, where actually I can work at my own time. And that helped me formulate message and get into new industry where I actually was able to step away from seeing patients. So I would say develop that emotional resilience, and that would bring you into being your own leader, and you could learn and kind of grow and build in path that would be more applicable to you.
Okay. So much there. So tell us a little bit more about this assessment. I think that you offer it for free through your website, right? And I'd like to know, like, if I were going to take my time, because time is very valuable, and go and do this assessment, why? Why would I do it? What will I get out of it? And I think in there, I'd like to hear a little bit more about um, your take on passion fueled work versus kind of money and lifestyle fueled work. Like, uh, if you can kind of give us that whole picture wrapped up in why I'd want to go take your assessment.
One situation would be if you're not certain what you leaning toward, because a lot of times we ask ourselves, what's your big wish? What would you like? And sometimes people say something, yes, I would like to have a house on the beach. And, quickly once we move to a certain area, we realize, what it actually entitle and cost and,
Hurricanes and all the things.
flood and hurricane and everything. So a lot of different things. So by taking assessment, it actually opportunity for you to experiment and try about yourself what would be your initial lead. So once you take an assessment, you might realize that you lean more toward speaking, or you lean more toward writing or television. A lot of times that's the way the other audience will amplify. So you test yourself. It's opportunity to experiment yourself and see where your hidden talent might be and what's your hidden interest, especially that this is specifically for you. And after you take that and you know exactly what category you belong, then there are tips there, and it comes with explanation, things that you might either improve and work. And let's say if you don't do that, what could be a consequences? Of course, we have to understand that everybody works from different life. It's not like completely artificial intelligence and determination of the future, but that's opportunity to learn about yourself, try, and it's a first stepping stone for you to get outside your comfort zone, or outside, for example, your practice, outside your expertise, and see what's out there. It kind of like disrupt your regular path and find a new chain of supply toward your fulfillment.
Okay. So I think it all works to that very first piece, that foundational piece that you say has to happen before all the rest can happen. And that is that clarity, getting really clear on what you're going to offer the world, right? So, how could I get this assessment? Where do I go?
You can go to www.thedoctorconnect.com and click assessment. There is also my personal website, ludmilaschaefer.com, and click on assessment.
Okay, so it's doctorconnection.com.
Connect,
Doctor Connect. Okay.
CONNECT.
Because I'm writing it
D.
down. I'm going to go do it too. So thedoctorconnect.com, and we'll have this in the show notes also. Um, and you take the assessment, and then you get some tips on kind of how to step into that other role. Do you see, is it kind of 50-50, or does it lean one way or the other, where people come and they take your assessment, and are they looking to totally step out of their current career and step into something new? Or are they wanting just something else along with their current career? Because we work long, hard years, right, to establish where we are. Do you see kind of 50-50, or does it actually really weigh more heavily one way or the other?
It helps you define either you want to stay with the expertise, or you have some hidden something in the back, your passion, your talent that you actually want to incorporate to enhance career. So a lot of times we don't realize that skills that we have or passion that we have, we can actually complement. And many organizations, they have a specific by law or rules or regulations that we have to follow, and it does not really incorporate specific skills. Like, for example, when I was applying to associate professor, of course, each university, each organization has a specific promotion and tenure, and you have to fit into that specific category. But then also, if I would at that time incorporate that I also speak on international level and have a specific speaking engagement, and during speaking engagement I speak, also bring my stories about hiking and nature and scuba diving and engage an audience, that indirectly would help me to become a better speaker, seeing more nationally, create more connections. It's either with the same experts in oncology or different expertise, and I could incorporate into my promotion. So there is a specific path. So people think that no, my institution does not accept this, or my path, or my job description that, but that's exactly what the assessment helps you to determine. Are you really want to just stay within where you are, or there is something else?
So are you it feels like your work, especially with helping high achievers rebrand themselves, kind of recreate themselves, are you specific just to doctors, or do you work with other kind of high achieving professionals? Because I don't want to flood your page. I want our audience to know, right? If they're a doctor or practitioner, definitely reach out to Dr. Schaefer. But do you work with other high achieving professions as well, or mainly you stick with doctors?
Mainly with physicians, but also other healthcare providers. And in addition, if there is a, let's say, engineer or attorney, we could actually create, the reason I speak about medical field, because of course, the terminology is more familiar, but the path could be actually relatable to thought leaders. There are some, let's say, yoga instructors that right now call themselves thought leaders, but they might not put a lot of years of education, but we could help them kind of find the way and elevate themselves.
Wonderful. Because I can see, I'm obviously I'm not a doctor, but I'm going to go take your assessment because I can really see that getting that clarity could open up my mind to those other ways that I might want to get my concepts out there. So really love the work that you are doing, Dr. Schaefer, and thank you. I know that just the sheer difficulty of us trying to coordinate a time tells me how in demand and how valuable it is to be in your presence. So thank you so much for sharing your precious time with us, and your even more so your precious insights with us, because I really believe that once we catch on to even just some of these few gems that you've given to us today, that we can really take our careers to a whole nother layer of impact and, yes, revenue. And who doesn't love passive revenue, right? We've worked long and hard and we've made our sacrifices. Nothing wrong with putting the cherry on the top of passion of passive revenue to our passion. Um, can you leave our audience with this one last thing? If you will, this the show is SpeakPact, and in my heart, I want us to challenge each other all in a very good way, right? Let's make a pact to get our respective voices out there and make the biggest impact that we can, right, to our right fit audiences. So what can you leave the Speak Pact audience with? What kind of challenge would you give them where it comes to really getting taking their impact to the next level?
Thank you so much, Antoniette. And I also want to tell everyone that Speak Pact is absolutely amazing, amazing platform. And I just now, start learning and realizing how actually wonderful you integrate and encourage everyone. So with that, I want to use that opportunity to tell audience, write down your 5 impactful stories, your 5 life experiences, whatever that could be in work or in life, anywhere. Once you put that 5 stories, then try to create your own little brand based on that stories, and not only little brand, but think of specific word, specific terminology that would be associated with you. So someone that see you would think, oh, that person, that's what it is. So 5 stories, or 5 experiences and from your life, and create a common theme, and then give a name to this theme. So the other day somebody reached out